Vamos a esperar unos minutos. Start our recording here. Hola, hola y buenos días a todos y bienvenidos y bienvenidas. ¿Cómo están todos? ¿Están bien?
Sí.
¿Bien?
Sí, estoy bien.
Excelente. Bueno, vamos a practicar. Hoy we're going to do a lot of practicing. We're going to have one little fun video. And this video, for those of you who have not been in this class before, maybe why are we watching this? But I'm putting it on because it ties into something we did in spring that people are going to say, oh my gosh, it's going to be a deja vu thing. And it's only 4 minutes, so it's super, super brief. We're going to watch a little video to tie up a little loose end from last session. And then just because it relates so beautifully to something we studied. Para que sepan, so that you guys know, and oh my goodness, I've got Scottsdale trying to call me. That means somebody signed up late. Momentito. Okay, here's our little loose end that I'm going to have you guys watch for a bit. And I'm just going to let this roll. It's only a 4-minute video, and I think I need to check because Scottsdale may have somebody that they need me to send a link to here. We have been studying something very bothersome in spring about those lo, la, les, yeah, all those little object pronouns, yeah. So this is a fun little video where it's going to be explanatory. So those of you who are not with us for spring, bear with us, humor me for about 4.5 minutes. And this kind of shows you guys that this is an issue that is always, just a little disconcerting for all people who practice Spanish. See, bien? And
hey everybody, Q RuPaul here, and look who's with me today.
Linda, hi.
Linda does not make many appearances in the Spanish videos. For those of you who don't know, Linda's originally from Colombia and moved to the US when you were 10.
Yeah.
Right? So Spanish is her first language. And so a lot of times when people ask me something in the comments, you know, what would a native speaker and what would this, I often ask Linda or ask her mother, who's here as well, but not on the video. So I'm actually, didn't give Linda much information about what we're going to talk about today, but I want to talk about...
I don't like a lot of prep.
You really don't like a lot of prep. All I said is I'm going to talk about the redundant lay, and Linda was like...
What?
Yeah, she's like, I don't even know what that is. So I said, perfect. So let's just turn on the camera and see what happens. So we're going to talk about the redundant lay today, which is something that doesn't make any sense to you at the moment, but it is very stressful for English speakers learning Spanish. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you do some translation.
Okay.
Okay? So I want you to say, Juan hit him, and I would like you to use the verb golpear.
Juan lo golpeó.
Okay. So the lo is what? Him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Juan.
So yeah, Juan, whoever Juan hit.
Oh, yeah. Whoever Juan hit.
Yeah, Juan hit him. So I want you to say the same thing. Juan hit him, but I'd like you to use a different verb. I'd like you to use the verb pegar.
Juan le pegó.
So this one is le, and the other one is lo.
Yep.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Why did you choose?
That's why you...
Okay. I'm just curious why you chose le on this one.
Because it sounded right.
Okay, it sounds right. That's the advantage native speakers have. So let's go back to our thing. So we have a le and lo. That's already one thing. So let's go back to our first sentence using golpear, right?
Okay.
And let's change it to, because before it was Juan hit him, right? So now we're going to have Juan hit Jose using golpear.
Juan golpeó a Jose.
Okay. So there's no lo in there anymore.
Yeah, I was like worried because I'm like, am I supposed to put a le or a lo?
No, you're overthinking it. So there's no lo there, right? That sounds right. It just vanished because before it was I hit him. So now that I'm mentioning the person, it doesn't make sense to have it there, right? All right, so let's look at pegar. So what was Juan hits him or hit him?
Using Juan le pegó. Juan le pegó.
Right. Now we change it to Juan hit Jose.
Juan le pegó a Jose.
Say it one more time.
Juan le pegó a Jose.
Okay. Why is the ley still there?
I don't know.
So
Why
what
are
was-
you asking me?
Well, what was the ley referring to the first time?
The person that Juan hit?
Right. But now we've mentioned him, right?
Yeah.
So why is the ley still there if we mentioned who he's hitting? That's why we
Is that
call
why
it.
it's called redundant?
That's why we call it redundant.
Ah,
So now, from a native Spanish speaker's point of view,
I've never heard of a redundant lay or redundant low.
but there is no redundant low. There's redundant ley.
No, I've never heard of a redundant lay.
Yet you just did it.
I do it all the time.
You do it all the time. So, from a native Spanish speaker's perspective here, why is the ley there?
Because it's supposed to be.
You heard it here first, folks, because it's supposed to be. That's going to help the students get
That's
better.
very helpful.
So just do that,
Yeah.
Just do what's supposed to be done.
Do what's right.
Do what feels right.
No, not what feels right, what is right.
What is right. All right, well, thank you very much for participating in this experiment.
Anytime.
And it was very insightful.
Anytime you need my insight, just let me know.
All right. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, just give us a thumbs up. And until next time,
Hasta luego.
hasta luego. Hey everybody, Kuru Paul here. Welcome to the channel.
Okay, be right back in a sec. Sorry, guys. Yes, this is Marilyn Bittner. If you could email me with your email address, which I did not.
Do you think that second verb is a reflexive? Is that why it was that way?
This is Marilyn, MARILYN, period, BUETTNER @gmail.com.
You mean why was a lay there? Yeah. Was that a reflexive verb?
Class.
Well, I mean,
This is for Spanish class.
let's
Thanks
see.
very much.
I thought they were asking because it said the name Jose, why was lay there? And they were-
Okay.
and she didn't know how to answer that. But
Right.
I'll let Marilyn answer that.
Perdón. And yeah, sorry about that. I had a last minute call. This always happens the first, I got somebody who signed up, wants a link. No email. Oh my gosh. Ouch, ouch. So I was trying to get somebody's email so they could join us now. ¿Cuál es la pregunta? What's the question there?
I wondered if the second verb was reflexive. And that's why you needed the lay.
No, reflexive never uses le.
Okay.
Reflexive never uses le. Reflexive uses me penos, but se. I guess the takeaway from that is that, you've got two verbs that mean hit. They both mean hit. So if you want to say hit him, one of them uses le, one of them doesn't. Why? And what was her answer? Well, it just sounds right with pegar to have le. And so sometimes with these pronouns, even for native speakers, if you say, well, why does it use that? They'll tell you, I don't know. It just uses le. So, le pegó a Juan. I hit Juan. Here's the thing we were talking about last session. It would be less characteristic or less common or sound odd for somebody to say, or I'm going to flip that words here. Juan pegó a Jose. Juan pegó a Jose would sound a little off. Would somebody understand you? Well, yes, they would. But with that verb pegar, it needs what they call that redundant le. So you're going to hear that even when we're naming a Jose, why the heck do I need a le? That verb just needs a le. Juan le pegó a Juan is the way you would naturally hear that idea. And there is no really super great way to know that except to hear it used a number of times. So another verb that would be like that you're maybe more likely to hear a lot is decir. I told Jim. Le dije a Jaime. It would be very, very uncharacteristic to have no le in that little fragment. Le dije a Jaime, decir almost always has a le with it. Like pegar almost always has a le with it. When we talk about doing something, doing that action, dije, I told, to somebody. Another verb that is often like that is very seldom missing the le. And, keep in mind, the le could be a me, te, a nos, or a les, plural, yeah? Le di mi número de teléfono a Maria. I gave Mary my phone number. Or le dio, perdón. Le dio mi número de teléfono a Maria. I gave her. So verbs like dar, verbs like decir, verbs like pegar, almost always have a le attached when you do something to somebody else. That's just the way they're used. So that redundant le, you're going to hear it a lot. Just keep that in mind. And, people who are even native speakers will be like, well, I don't know. That just sounds right. That's the way I hear people doing it. So the thing to do is be patient, let yourself hear those examples, and happens over and over. Okay, bien?
And Spanish uses a redundancy in negatives too.
Oh,
don't they?
sí. No le dije nada. I didn't tell him anything. No le dije nada a Jose. I didn't tell Jose anything. Yeah. Whether it's negative or affirmative is kind of in their viewpoint, not the point. It's just the way we use that. So sometimes we just need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and listen for the patterns. We'll do a lot of listening comprehension videos that you'll get for homework. So, okay. A ver.
Wait, why did they use lo in one of those examples and lay in the other?
Okay.
It seems like it
Golpear,
would both be a direct
they
pronoun.
both mean hit. So shouldn't they
Him.
be the same?
Right.
And the point of that video was they're not, because
Not only is it redundant,
It's-
but it's the wrong word.
Golpear, that particular verb always takes a direct object. Pegar takes an indirect, and it just does.
Okay.
And you just have to get used to that pattern with pegar. And pegar is probably more common. Pegar has a few different meanings, but one of them is like smack somebody up the side. Yeah. To
Okay.
hit them. Yeah. Okay.
Marilyn,
See,
I have a question. The first verb, whatever that was, he hit him and it was low. If you said, let's see, how do I say this? Could you use lay with that if it had the person's name after it, like
no.
Luis?
That-
No, you
that-
would
no.
use a different verb.
And actually, when you put a lo in, you will not have that redundant pattern of an
Right.
extra pronoun. Yeah.
So
With lo, la, los, las, words that mean it or him or her, that are direct objects, we don't repeat the human being.
right.
Okay. With le,
Right.
we
right.
often do repeat the human being with that a phrase.
And they call it redundant because they have the person's name.
Because it's repetitive.
Repetitive,
Because if
okay.
I already, if I say le pegó, I hit him, right? Le pegó a Jose, or he hit him,
Right.
Le pegó a Jose, he hit Jose.
Jose.
The le already tells you it's a person, but then we
Right.
name that person too, right?
Right.
But if you've got lo in there,
I understand.
if you've got a verb that uses lo, that uses a direct object, those words lo, la, los, las that are direct object pronouns, they do not have redundancy. They don't have repetitive.
Got it.
No repetitive phrase,
Okay.
no clarifying phrase. That's just the way those work. So just be kind of familiar when those things are built in. It's just the way it rolls, and just kind of accept it and internalize, what the pattern is. Bien? Okay. All right, there's our little loose end to tie up. ¿Qué vamos a hacer hoy? What are we going to do today? Oh, we're going to talk about some favorite places. So, vamos a hablar de un lugar favorito, un lugar preferido, a favorite place. Y vamos a escuchar un ejemplo de un cuento, una historia, un recorrido. We're going to take a little tour. We're going to take a little tour. We're not going to watch all this video. I'm going to give you the links so you can watch the whole thing later. So I'll give you the link and the email I send out after class. The email after class always has all the links so you can watch videos again. But we're going to listen to a little video, and I may stop it at 1 or 2 points to point out something if I think it's an odd word that you might not quite know, or an odd structure you don't quite know. But he's going to be talking about, a favorite place to go to, and that's what I want all of you to be able to talk about with folks in a smaller group setting later on. We're going to do that. But first, we're going to listen to an example of how somebody would explain this. This is going to be a video that is pretty easygoing video. We're going to watch about 6 minutes of it. Vamos a escuchar por 6 minutos, más o menos. There's a little mystery. You're going to listen to the end of the video to find out what the mystery is. Es una sorpresa. Es una sorpresa. This is going to give us a way to think about telling a little story so that you ramp up to doing a similar thing with folks in your smaller group later on. I'm going to put on the subtitles so that you can follow along. Okay. Primero. What I want you to be thinking about while you watch the video a little bit is we're going to talk about a favorite getaway place. This is a favorite getaway place for this particular person. And he's going to tell us a story as he is walking along. And he's going to keep a lot of this just a bit talking in the present. You can do whatever you want in your group. Breakout groups later. You can put something into the past. You can keep it very much in the present. But you're going to notice he is talking just as he's going along. So most of it is going to be presente, and a little bit is hypothetical, wishing, oh, if only I could be here all the time, that kind of thing. So kind of notice that as you listen. And we'll take any little questions when we watch this snippet before we send you off into groups. Pueden ver el paisaje verde. Can you see this green place? ¿Sí? Claro, okay. Vamos a ver. Subtítulos. Do listen. He doesn't go super fast, but, depending on what your level is, it may sound a little bit fast, and I may stop at a few places if he uses something a little unusual. Okay. Voy a engrandecer aquí. Valle del Río Ches. Y no se traduce Ches. He does not translate this word Ches. Está en Inglaterra. ¿Sí? Este paisaje es un paisaje, un lugar como un parque, un lugar natural, un parque en Inglaterra. Y el nombre del valle es valley, ¿no? Valle del Río Ches. Ches River Valley. Valle del Río Ches. Okay.
Estoy dando un paseo por el campo. El campo inglés en primavera es precioso.
Ah,
Cuando
okay.
no llueve, claro.
Okay, I thought it's supposed to be giving me my subtitles. I'm sorry, they are not coming on. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Cuando no llueve, when it doesn't rain. Since he's talking about England, he's going to kind of make a deal about when it doesn't rain.
Hoy hace un día maravilloso. Ojalá, ojalá, ojalá fuera siempre así.
Ojalá fuera siempre así. And I don't know why my closed captions are not coming on, but they're not. Ojalá que, if only. Ojalá, yeah. If only it were always like this. Ojalá que fuera siempre así. If only it were always like this.
Este es el río Chess. No es tan grande como el Támesis, pero es muy, muy bonito, ¿eh? Muy, muy bonito. Voy a cruzar este puente,
Voy a cruzar este puente. I'm gonna cross this bridge. Okay, un puente. Y disculpen, por favor, please excuse. I don't know why the closed captions aren't coming on. When you play this full thing later, you will see closed captions. So I do recommend you do this later.
puente de madera, ¿eh? Voy a pasar desde esta orilla del río hasta aquella orilla.
Orilla es shore, ¿sí? La orilla es la parte de la tierra al lado del agua, ¿sí? La orilla es la parte de la tierra que está al lado del agua. You know, whatever is next to the water, whether it's a river or a lake or an ocean. That's la orilla, a shore. Even though we don't think of that maybe as a shore, es la orilla.
Estoy cruzando el puente.
Estoy cruzando, and he's using present progressive because this is as he's talking as it's happening. So estoy cruzando, I'm crossing.
Acabo de cruzar el puente. Ya estoy en la otra orilla del río Chess. Me encanta pasear por el campo.
Me encanta pasear por el campo. Me encanta, I love. Pasear es caminar lentamente. ¿Sí?
Or walk.
Caminar de manera muy relajada. Es pasear. ¿Bien? Pasear es stroll. Walk, pero no con prisa, no rápidamente, pasear. Me encanta pasear por el
En
campo.
Inglaterra, porque es todo tan verde. El problema es que los días así, con sol, con el cielo azul, bueno, más o menos,
Más o menos, so.
Más o menos, porque mira qué nubes, mira qué nubes,
Look
qué
at those
nubes
clouds.
se están formando, ¿eh? Los días así, con buen tiempo, es todo tan verde, mira. ¿Eh?
Y aquí tiempo no es time, ¿sí? Tiempo es aquí, se refiere con tiempo a weather, ¿ok?
Ojalá
If only.
tuviera dinero para comprarme una casa como aquella.
Ojalá que tuviera dinero para comprar una casa. If only I had money to buy a house out here. Ojalá que tuviera dinero. If only I had the money to buy a house out here.
¿Eh? Eso estaría muy bien.
That'd be great.
Para que todo esté así de verde, claro, hay que pagar un precio.
Ah, for everything to be this green, you gotta pay a price. Hay que pagar un precio. Hay que pagar. You have to. Hay que means not you, the one person. You have to pay a price, but you in general, the general you. See, hay que pagar un precio. You gotta pay a price.
El precio es que llueve la mayor parte del año.
Ah, el precio es que llueve la mayor parte del año. The price is that it
Rain.
rains la mayor parte del año,
The better part of a year.
better part of the year. Sí, yeah, sí.
Se pueden contar con los dedos de una mano
You can count on
The
you can
finger-
count on the fingers of one hand
los días que no llueve.
los días que no llueve. You can count on the fingers of one hand the days it doesn't
rain.
rain. Porque es Inglaterra. Sí, y por eso es tan verde. Sí.
Me gusta mucho Inglaterra, pero me gustaría más si todos los días fueran así, más o menos.
Ah, me gustaría, I would like it better if it were always like this.
Hay un montón de mosquitos, ¿eh?
Hay un montón de mosquitos. Hay un montón. Montones, mucho, 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 mucho. Hay un montón de mosquitos. ¿Bien? ¿Entienden?
Sí.
Hay un montón de mosquitos, ¿no? Ah, hay muchísimos mosquitos en el aire. ¿Sí?
Qué asco de mosquitos.
Que asco, how gross, how disgusting. See, que asco is just an expression when you really can't stand something, you think it's gross.
No todo es bonito, ¿eh? Tenemos
No todo es bonito. Everything isn't pretty.
que pasar por este puente sobre una autopista muy grande, con muchos coches. Esta es la parte más fea de este paseo.
Esta es la parte más fea. This is the ugliest part. Okay. Autopista. Ah, carretera con varios carriles. Autopista es un término. Autopista es highway. Bien. Carretera también es highway, pero autopista es una carretera con muchos carriles. Carriles.
Oh, lanes.
Lanes. See, así es. Sometimes if we don't know a word, with that picture paired with the context, a highway with several what? Well, it's got several lanes, ¿sí? Carriles.
Ya hemos dejado atrás la autopista. Prefiero caminar por el campo. Ay, ¿y ahora? ¿Y ahora qué hago? ¿Voy por allí?
Hay dos rutas. Hay dos ahora. Y él tiene que decidir en una ruta u otra. ¿Sí?
¿O voy por allí? Hay una bifurcación.
Bifurcación cuando hay dos posibilidades, en la ruta, ¿bien? Una bifurcación, ¿sí? Un lugar donde un camino se divide, where it splits off, divides up.
¿Qué palabra tan fea?
Bifurcates, exacto.
Yeah.
Una serpiente tiene la lengua bifurcada, ¿sí? Una serpiente tiene una lengua bifurcada, ¿bien? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Bifurcación, aquí bifurcación se refiere a la manera en que el camino se divide. En inglés decimos split up. No hay split up. Se divide. It divides itself.
Mhm.
Ah, bien.
Bifurcación. He visto algo que nos puede ayudar.
Ah, he visto algo que nos puede ayudar. He visto algo. I have seen something. You may not know he visto. I have seen something. Que nos puede ayudar. Que nos puede ayudar. I've seen something that can help us. That can help us. Okay. Y ustedes van a ver.
Alguien, un alma caritativa.
Una alma caritativa. Alma es soul. Alma caritativa una persona que ayuda a otro sin pedir nada a cambio. Una persona que ayuda. A person who does what?
Helps others without charging?
Without asking for anything in return. Sí, asking for anything in exchange. ¿Qué quiere decir una alma caritativa? I give you a small hint because it doesn't translate exactly. Alma caritativa. Alma es soul, soul, y caritativa es una descripción.
Volunteer.
En español quiere decir alma caritativa literalmente es charitable soul.
So it's like a volunteer?
Se puede, sí. ¿Cómo se dice? No podemos traducir exactamente. Alma caritativa, a charitable soul, a good Samaritan, someone who is helpful, all right? A kind soul. Oh, a kind soul, a good-hearted person. Okay, continuamos. You don't need to translate word for word. Caritativa means charitable. Okay.
Ha dibujado una flecha.
Ha dibujado una flecha. La flecha es esta flecha. ¿Qué es una flecha? And you see my
Arrow?
arrow. Ha dibujado una flecha. Has done what? Has drawn
Drawn an arrow.
an
Mark the
arrow.
day.
Para indicarnos que hay que ir.
Para indicarnos que hay de ir.
Que hay que ir por aquí.
Por aquí.
Muy bien, muy bien. Muy bien pensado. Mira, mira qué guay, qué guay. Aquí hay
Que guay.
gente.
This is a colloquial phrase. You don't really hear this in Latin America so much, but que guay is just, somebody giving the thumbs up. Yeah. How nice. How great. Que guay. How great. How cool. How wonderful.
Hay gente bañándose aquí en el
Hay gente bañándose. Ok. En el río.
río Chess. Fantástico, me encanta. Me encanta el campo de Inglaterra. Bueno, me encanta el campo de Inglaterra los 4 o 5 días que no llueve, claro.
Me encanta los 4 o 5 días que no llueve. I love it.
The 4 or 5 days it doesn't rain.
The 4 or 5 days it doesn't rain. Okay.
Me siento un poco, ¿eh?
And he's telling you what he's going to do. Me siento un poco. I'm doing what?
Sit for a bit.
I'm going to sit for a bit. Un poco, a little while.
Me siento un poco en este banco porque
Y banco aquí no es bank. Sí, banco es bank, como Wells Fargo. Sí, el banco de Wells Fargo, el banco de Chase, el banco de lo que sea, ¿ok? Bien, pero aquí banco es bench.
estoy un poco cansado, ¿eh?
Estoy un poco así. Qué río tranquilo.
Bueno, me voy porque no quiero llegar tarde, tengo una cita, me está esperando una amiga, una chica rubia.
I'm going to back this up a little bit. Esto sí es importante. Momentito.
Bueno, me voy porque
Me voy. I'm out of here. I'm taking off. Me voy. See? I'm going, but I'm taking off. I'm getting out of here. Okay.
no quiero llegar tarde, tengo una cita, me está esperando una amiga.
Me está esperando una amiga. Me está esperando.
I'm waiting.
Me está esperando una amiga.
Amiga, girl, a woman.
A girl, a friend, una amiga, me está esperando. Is doing what
Is-
for me?
Waiting.
Is waiting for
she's
me.
waiting.
Es el misterio. Here comes our little mystery, and you're going to watch the tail end of this to find out. Sí, para averiguar quién es la amiga.
Una chica rubia.
Es una chica rubia. Es una chica rubia.
Que me gusta
What?
mucho.
Que me gusta mucho, or that I really like this, sí.
La verdad es que está todo muy bien señalizado. Hay
Está bien señalizado, un señal que indica la ruta, ¿sí? Hay un señal aquí con una flecha que indica la ruta.
Hay estas flechas, por todas partes.
Esta flecha, ¿sí?
Aquí lo podemos ver, ¿vale? Tenemos que ir hacia la derecha, ¿vale? Por aquí. Uy, otro puente, qué chulo. Qué chulo.
Okay, chulo, this is another colloquial phrase. Again, this one is a little more Spain rather than Latin America. Que chulo, how cute. Sí, chulo, como cute, sí, qué bonito.
Hay muchas flechas, que indican por dónde tenemos que ir. Venga, vamos a cruzar este puente. La verdad es que me encanta cruzar estos puentes de madera, estos puentes de madera.
De madera, la material del puente es madera, sí, wood. Ok, vale.
Con este río tan bonito. Qué chulo, tío, qué chulo, me encanta. Ojalá
If only, ojalá.
fuera siempre así.
Ojalá fuera siempre así. If only it were always like this, okay? And I want you to pay attention to how we pair up ojalá with ideas talking about, ojalá always talks about something that isn't really that way, but boy, we would like it to be. If only it were, but it's not. Yeah, if only it were. Ojalá que fuera siempre así. If only it were always like this.
Este tipo de senderos me recuerda mucho el Camino de Santiago.
These routes remind me a lot of El Camino de Santiago. El Camino de Santiago is a famous place in Spain where he was born, where people do hiking, heavy duty. Hardcore hiking, hardcore hike that goes across the whole northern part of the country, from France down to the far northwestern part of Spain. So what he's going to talk about, Camino de Santiago, literally St. James Highway or St. James Way, was a pilgrimage route in the Middle Ages, which is now a popular hiking route for people. It would be like the Spanish equivalent of people in the States doing the Appalachian Trail or doing, ¿cómo se llama esa ruta en California? Pacific Coast Trail.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Exacto. Es así, pero el Camino de Santiago, cuando él habla del Camino de Santiago, habla de una ruta de caminatas. He's talking about a hiking route. Okay.
He hecho el Camino de Santiago varias veces. Fijaos qué maravilla de paisaje. No está mal, no está mal.
Y hay un perrito.
Esa es una buena idea.
En una mochila.
Buena idea.
El perro tiene, ella tiene un perro, ¿sí? ¿Y dónde está el perro? El perro obviamente no puede caminar muchísimo porque es un perro muy pequeño, pero tiene el perro en una mochila, ¿sí? Y el perrito tiene una vista, ¿sí? Aquí en la mochila. Ok.
Así el perro no se cansa, ¿eh?
Ok, y vamos a parar aquí. We're going to stop here. This gives us a little preview of how people talk about a getaway. Ah, un lugar para escapar. Un lugar para escaparse. A place to get out of the
Marilyn,
heat.
Marilyn, could you maybe write out so we could see how it's actually spelled? There were several times that you used the phrase, I think it was like ojalá, if only.
Sí, claro, sí, claro. Ok, momentito. Voy a crear algo muy rápidamente para que ustedes puedan ver aquí. Uy. Voy a engrandecer aquí en las letras y poner aquí en español. Okay. And do pay attention to this little phrase because you're going to start to hear it through this summer a fair bit. If I can get my computer to cooperate. Okay, momentito. Voy a mostrarles. I'm going to show you guys. See, ojalá, often followed by que. You may or may not hear that little word que. This is used to say, if only. Okay. Hypothetical wishes. Yeah. Ojalá que. Ojalá. Sometimes people drop the word que after it. Why? Because they feel like it. Yeah. Ojalá que. Ojalá que lo que nos dijo Juan, what Juan told us, ojalá que fuera así siempre. If only it were always like this.
And what tense does that what tense do you have to use with ojalá?
Well, ojalá in and of itself doesn't need anything. It will always be ojalá.
Right.
So
but
this
the-
is a great thing to, but fuera. Gran problema. That's a problem, isn't it? That word fuera. I'm going to give you another one, and then I'm going to tell you where this comes from. Ojalá hay dos partes específicas en el video donde dice ojalá que tuviera una casa aquí. Más o menos. I'm kind of paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly. Ojalá que tuviera una casa así. If only I had a house here. Okay. Ojalá or ojalá que is used to talk about something you wish it were a certain way, but it's not. What is this thing fuera? What the heck is this thing tuviera? These are what we call subjunctives.
Subjunctives, yeah.
Yeah, these are subjunctive forms. Now, ojalá might take present subjunctive. Ojalá can also take past subjunctive. Here's what you need to know. You will hear this listening from time to time. And right now, I don't want you to be able to get the exact right form of this word to produce it, that is to say it yourself, but to listen to and to recognize what it is. Fuera es if only it were. And the fuera comes from, it's based on this word, fueron. It's based on a preterite. And we take that preterite form and we do boom, 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 magic, magic, get rid of the run, and we add on a ra. And it becomes, if only it were this way. In order to get to this word fuera, to produce this word fuera, you have to know that it's based on this word fueron. And we take that fueron word and we do a little magic wand and we change its form to make it into that word you see as fuera. Similarly, tuviera is formed from this word tuvieron. Tuvieron is the past for had. Yeah. And we take that word tuvieron, we do the little magic wand, boom, 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 we get rid of the run. And when we put on a ra instead of a run, it changes it into if only I had. And well, wait a minute, if that's a had and this is a had, why do we get to this? Subjunctive has a job of talking about things that don't really exist in the real world. So that's how you should think of subjunctive. And we're going to see some examples of that later on. We're not going to use this today for conversation, but para que sepan, so that you know. These little words will pop up. So if you know tuvieron, had, just know that, oh, it comes from something that talks about that have verb, right? And that will help a little bit. And when you actually watch this again later on, because you're going to watch for the ending, you're going to be watching for la rubia. You're going to be watching for the blonde. That is something that we're using to talk about hypothetical situation. He doesn't have a house there. In point of fact, es un hecho, it's a fact. Juan no tiene una casa en el campo muy bonito de Inglaterra. It is a fact that Juan does not have a house in that wonderful countryside of England. So if he wants to talk about if only I had a house, he has to speak about it in hypothetical settings. And that means using this odd thing called subjunctive. Okay. Now you're going to see some easier subjunctives that are easier to recognize, but these are past subjunctives. So just know you will hear it. And just know that ojalá means if only. So when you're listening for that, you're listening for the if only ideas that are in there. Okay.
Can it also be translated as hopefully?
It can. Ojalá does not have an exact, ojalá can be defined a number of ways. Ojalá originally came from Arabic and it meant God willing.
Yeah, Allah.
And the
you
word
can hear
Allah is in there. Yeah. Would to God that this were to happen, which is how people spoke in the Middle Ages, but nobody speaks like that anymore. Yeah. So ojalá could mean hopefully, I wish. Sometimes it's translated as I wish, but yeah, it doesn't really mean I. It doesn't have anything to do with yo. That word itself, ojalá. Okay. Bueno, ahora, adelante. Moving on. Vamos a ver. Ustedes van a hablar y voy a darles un ejemplo. I'm going to give you guys an example first, ¿sí? El tema de la conversación de hoy. Our topic. Our speaking topic, our theme. Tema is a theme. Ustedes van a hablar en un grupo más pequeño. Ustedes van a hablar en un grupo más pequeño de un lugar. Un lugar ah, donde se puede escapar. Un lugar donde se puede escapar de Phoenix, de Scottsdale. Un lugar donde se puede escapar de Phoenix, de Scottsdale. ¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué queremos escaparnos de nuestra ciudad por el calor? On account of the heat. No? Okay. I'm going to put that little screen up when you actually go into your rooms, but I'm going to give you an example of what I want you to do now. And this is just a kind of get to know you kind of thing. Esto es un ejemplo, nada más. It's nothing more than a little example. Voy a darles, I'm going to give you guys, voy a darles un ejemplo. Don't feel self-conscious. Just kind of think about this as I am talking and I am showing you, and I'm going to do it in very simple terms. So do it in as simple a term as you can. And don't worry if you don't know every single thing. But, okay. Quiero que ustedes hablen, I want you guys to talk, de un lugar ideal, de un lugar bonito, de un lugar relajante, relaxing, un lugar relajante, donde se puede escapar, claro, y para mí, mi ejemplo, un lugar ideal donde me gusta escaparme de Phoenix, de Scottsdale, del valle aquí, del Valle del Sol, the Valley of the Sun. Un lugar favorito es Horton Springs Loop. ¿Dónde está Horton Springs Loop? Bueno, voy a decirles que Horton Springs Loop es una caminata, un sendero, trail, un sendero en el norte del estado de Arizona. Está cerca de Payson. Horton Springs Loop está cerca del pueblo de Payson en el norte. Y bueno, tenemos que manejar media hora, 45 minutos, una hora más o menos, ¿sí? Y Horton Spring Loop es un lugar muy verde. Me gusta, me encanta este lugar porque tiene cascadas, tiene planta, tiene árboles, tiene un bosque.
No.
Hay un bosque. Un bosque es un lugar con muchos árboles, muchísimos árboles, ¿sí? Está en un bosque, está en como el lugar que decimos aquí en Arizona, Mogollon Rim, ¿sí? Está cerca de las montañas. Está en el bosque, hay árboles. Es un lugar, sí, muy fresco, ¿sí? Se puede caminar, se puede ir en el agua, ¿sí? Hay muchas mariposas también aquí, muchas mariposas. There are lots of butterflies here, ¿sí? Es un lugar muy bonito y, bueno, quiero que ustedes hablen un poquito de un lugar que les gusta para escaparse, a great place to escape, ¿sí? Y por qué te gusta, why you personally like it, ¿sí? Me gusta Horton Springs porque tiene árboles, está muy fresco en las montañas, hay caminatas. Maybe your space is not an outdoor space. Maybe your space is a favorite place to go shop, or, it does not have to be an outdoor space. No tiene que ser, no tiene que estar al aire libre. It does not have to be outdoors, ¿sí? Para que sepan, so you know. Bien, ¿entienden todos, sí?
Sí.
Quizá ustedes van a tener grupos de quizás 3, or I think there's going to be one group that'll have to be a 2Z group. But vamos a ver, let's see here. Okay, bien, great. Sí, hay 2 grupos de 3 personas, hay un grupo de 2 personas, quizás 8 minutos, maybe 8 minutes. Bien,
Sí.
más o menos. Okay. So that everybody gets a little turn. I don't want a term paper. I want you to just talk about a place that you really like. And I'll put our little screen up with your little theme topics so you can think about it. Okay? Todo bien? You're going to hit your join button. And once you hit your join button, I will be able to put your extra screen in here. Vale, vamos a ver.
así el perro no se cansa.
Okay. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Ah,
¿Cómo estás? Sorry about that late one there, but I didn't have an email and
oh, no worries.
that
I'm gonna send you an email, Marilyn. I think I'm in the wrong class. I tried to get on into a class like Spanish 101, and this team is very knowledgeable and far more advanced than I am.
stay
there
on
a-
at the end of class and I will talk to you about that.
Okay, I was gonna send you an email.
Yeah,
but
there might be an alternative, but when we close up class, I'll talk. And this is a typical thing, just so you know, para que sepas. This always
Thank
happens the first class of a session, so no big deal.
yeah.
No es nada, it's no biggie. Okay, a ver. Bueno, a ver. Bueno, okay. Ahora vamos a compartir un poquito. So we're going to share a little bit now. Now is our time to come back in a bigger group and say, you know, if you have an idea of something you talked about that you want to share with the whole group, or if you had something that you didn't know how you wanted to say that, and how do I piece this together? You know, what's a way I can work around if I don't know how to express a certain idea? So now's our time to, work on that a little bit. Okay. ¿Qué piensan ustedes? What do you guys think? Is there anybody who's got a good example they want to share or they have a question?
I've got a question. Oh,
Sí, dime,
Oh.
tell me.
there would never be a time that we would put nos with, what am I trying to say? If I wanted to say we love, I don't ever put encantar in a mos.
No,
Never.
no.
Would
Encanta. It always been nos encanta, nos encanta. Okay.
Okay.
Buen ejemplo, un buen ejemplo.
It was hard to think about it on the fly.
Okay. Por ejemplo. Nos encanta este perrito. We love this little dog. Es un ejemplo. Nos encanta este perrito. We love this little dog. But it would not be encantamos because encantamos would mean we are enchanting to somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Encantar is one of those verbs like gustar. You're going to hear nos encanta, or you might hear nos encantan. Okay, un ejemplo con encantan. Nos encanta el perrito. We love the little dog. Pero nos encantan los árboles.
Okay,
En el campo. We love the trees in
Okay.
this countryside view, yeah? Nos encantan los árboles, pero nos encanta el perrito. We love the doggy. Es así, like that, okay? So,
thanks. Always need a little review. Thank you.
está bien, está bien. This is exactly the kind of question you should come back with. Okay, ¿hay otra pregunta o no? ¿Sí? ¿No? ¿Un ejemplo? You have no marvelous examples to share for today. Okay. Está bien, it's okay. Because I'm catching you kind of on the fly today, right? Okay.
Ven a mi casa.
Ah,
Un lugar especial.
sí, porque ahorita, right now, ahorita no está en Minnesota, sí, en los bosques, la frescura de Minnesota, the freshness of Minnesota. Okay. Bien. Bueno, ok. Primero, lo que ustedes van a hacer hoy, what you're going to do, no, lo que ustedes van a hacer esta semana, what you're going to do this week. Y ustedes van a terminar este video. You're going to finish this video just so you can hear more colloquial talk. And he's going to put up little things on the screen every once in a while. I do promise you that when you hit the closed caption box, it will work. So I suggest when you guys are watching this, because some of you are new to this class, what you want to do is look for the CC box at the bottom and click on that. Now, why? I think I've got an update pending. That's why it didn't work. But normally when you click on that, you will see an AI generated subtitle thing, which for most of you will be super useful. So I do suggest the first time you listen with the closed caption on. Okay, for most of you, that will be a more comfortable experience. If you don't need the closed caption box, magnifico, great. But you will notice it is a 16-minute video. Él va a hablar, él nos dijo, he told us, Juan, el hombre en el video, Juan, que se llama Juan, ¿sí? Juan tiene una cita, he's got a date. Tiene una cita con una rubia, he's got a date with a blonde. ¿Sí? Y ustedes tienen que ver todo el video hasta el fin para saber, el misterio, para averiguar, to find out, yeah, ¿sí? Para averiguar, para resolver el misterio, to solve the mystery of who the date is with. You need to watch the whole video. Okay. And if you have any questions from the rest of that video, let me know. Okay. Since this is our first class, nos quedan 15 minutes. We got about 15 minutes left. Okay, para que sepan. So, you know, I've got a little short video. I'm going to send you some things with ojalá. Since we saw a couple of ojalá examples, a couple of things come back next week and work on. Okay. We are going to talk a little bit about subjunctive, which is for most people a super scary topic, but it does not have to be. You don't have to know everything about subjunctive to use it, but you almost do, even in simple conversations, need to know a little bit about why people use subjunctive, which is a true mystery because we use it so sparingly in different situations in English. But many languages, not just Spanish, do have a subjunctive and use it a lot. So the reason you want to know it is because you will hear it. Even in a fairly simple setting, you will hear subjunctive. One of my good friends from Chile, said to me, we probably use when I'm sitting around with my friends or with my family, visiting my family back in Santiago, we probably use subjunctive about 40 or 50% of a normal conversation.
Oh,
So yeah, that's a hefty chunk for a scary thing like subjunctive. But now, are you going to use all of it perfectly? No. But should you recognize that somebody is using a pattern that you should mentally note? Yes. So what you want to do right now is to not pressure yourself to, I must understand and use this perfectly. Nada de eso, nothing like that. But, from time to time, I will hear people using it. Yes, you want to start to notice the patterns that will use that thing. Okay. Let me put this, I'm going to put this in a simpler format for you now. Just to kind of preview how it is different, how it will sound different. And we're not going to do the hard things yet. We're going to do a little short video. And I'm going to give you a little homework assignment to, kind of. What you saw was the hard stuff. This stuff, guys, is forming that thing. It's a stinker. I'm not going to lie to you. That is a stinker. So we're going to take easier things to use with ojalá. You're going to have much easier things to practice with ojalá. Okay? Studying. I'm going to teach you to recognize today or give you a preview of how it will sound, how you will hear it, and there'll be a tiny change. And it is super subtle. Let's put this in some very big letters here. Okay, so, Juan was talking about his trip in England and that it's always raining. Hay 4 o 5 días que no llueve en Inglaterra. There are 4 or 5 days that it doesn't rain in England. And you recognize this. No llueve, no llueve. It doesn't
Doesn't rain.
It doesn't rain. Llueve. Hay 4 o 5 días que no llueve en Inglaterra aquí. He was talking about, gee, it's so sad I can't do this walk all the time, but there are only like 4 or 5 days. It doesn't rain. This is what you're used to hearing. Llueve hoy. No llueve hoy. It's raining today. It's not raining today. That's plain old vanilla flavor present tense, right? But when we flip it into an easy subjunctive, which is what I'll give you this coming week, it becomes this. Ojalá que llueva. What a subtle difference from that, llueve, to this, llueva. If you're listening to somebody speak fast, you hardly even hear that. Ojalá que llueva is not talking about a fact. This stuff up here is a fact.
Mhm.
This is, if only it would rain. Or we might translate that idea as, hopefully, it will rain. And what subjunctive will sound like is like somebody took an ER verb of llover and used a wrong ending. Wow, that shouldn't have an a. It should not have an a. It's an er verb. What the heck? Are they illiterate? No, they're not illiterate. Ojalá que llueva is talking about, in fact, it's not raining. Wow, really wish it would. Subjunctive is talking about something that is not, in fact, happening yet or right now. Okay. And this is something that is kind of a big idea that is tough for an English speaker to wrap their mind around. So we're going to watch a very shorty video to give you an introduction to some, but not all, some times when you might hear this structure being used. So kind of pay attention. The tuviera and the fuera in the video was a little more advanced one, but we're going to take a look at an example here. And you'll get the link to this so you can listen to this in greater detail again. This is going to be the type of video where you want to hear this more than one time so that you kind of get used to what the patterns are and wrap your minds around the big idea. A ver, momentito. Okay. Aquí. Bien.
Are you ready to master the Spanish subjunctive?
Of course you are.
Stay here because today we're going to talk about the most important triggers of the subjunctive.
And when they talk about triggers, everybody uses that word trigger to talk about subjunctive. They mean a situation that sets it up so that you have to use subjunctive. Okay. What's going to happen with this is that you're going to hear some situations that set up it's not happening yet kind of verb. Okay.
And we're gonna do it in a very practical and intuitive way. So let's dive in. I know most of you have been struggling with mastering the subjunctive in Spanish, and that's because it's really difficult to understand when to use it. But let me tell you a secret. It's difficult even for native speakers like me. If you're planning to learning the subjunctive by memorizing the grammar rules, stop right there.
Yeah, because if I dumped on you right now all the reasons for using subjunctive, your brain would explode. Yeah, reasonably so. So what you want to do is just get used to listen for examples. When you get these little videos, listen for examples of, oh, they used a subjunctive. Oh, this situation needs it. But the situation always happens because that activity that is put into the subjunctive is not, in fact, actually happening right now. Okay, but he's going to give you some ideas where you will typically hear this.
That's not gonna work. The best way to learn the grammar rules in a language that you are learning, it's by listening and repeating.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm gonna show you when the subjunctive shows up depending on the different sentences that work as triggers. The sentence number 1 is no creo que.
I don't think that. Because if I don't think that something really exists, is it a fact? No. So, oddly enough, no creo que, which just means I don't think that, or I don't believe that something else is happening. It will set up subjunctive. You'll hear how.
No creo que vayas a la fiesta esta noche.
I don't think you're going to go to that party tonight. And vayas looks a little bit like boy. A little bit like boy. You know that boy comes from ir, to go. I don't think you're going to go to that party tonight is talking about something that's out there in the future. But you're saying, I don't think this situation is even going to exist. When we talk about things that we don't believe that they exist, we use subjunctive in the second half. Notice this part that says no creo is just plain old vanilla present tense. But now when I'm talking about, I don't think that you're going to do something, we're injecting you, a different person in that second half of the sentence. And that will need a subjunctive verb. I don't think you'll go to the party. Okay.
Trigger number 2. Es importante que. Es importante que estudies para el examen.
Es importante que estudies para el examen. It's important that you study for the test. Es importante que, and all that in red, when you look at this again, look at the block with red. That is what they call a trigger. It is setting up something saying, well, we don't have a real situation that coming up half that actually exists. In an ideal world, it's important that you do something, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. So, es importante que, and putting a person in that second half, that's going to need subjunctive. And notice it's not estudias with AS, it's estudies with ES. It's like making estudiar into an ER verb. Why? It's doing that because it's subjunctive. So we're swapping it out for the other kind of endings that you think should be wrong. Okay.
El examen. Trigger number 3.
Here it comes, the one you saw. Ojalá que, ojalá que.
Ojalá que. Ojalá que llueva mañana.
Hopefully it'll rain tomorrow, but it ain't tomorrow, folks. And I don't know what tomorrow will bring. And because it is not tomorrow, that is not happening in point of fact now. And if that's not happening, ojalá que is saying, ooh, big red light. I got to talk about this activity in a very hypothetical way. It is not really happening yet. I would like it to happen, but I don't know, will it or won't it? Ojalá que llueva mañana. Ojalá que, otro ejemplo, another example. Ojalá que haga menos calor. Hopefully, it's not so hot outdoors. Ojalá que haga fresco. Hopefully, it'll be cool. Okay, bien.
Trigger number 4. A menos que.
A menos que is another trigger. So go back and make little notes about these triggers because he's not going to give you all of them, but a few manageable ones. And these are ones that you hear a lot. A menos que, a menos looks like minus, and it does kind of mean that. A menos que is unless.
No puedes salir a jugar a menos que.
You can't go out to play unless
termines tus tareas.
you finish your homework. No puedes salir a jugar a menos que termines tus tareas. You can't go play outside unless you're done with your homework. You finish your homework. And termines comes from terminar. You expect to hear terminas. Terminas with an A-S, A-S, but it termines. In fact, you're not done with your homework yet, kiddo. So no outside for you until that gets done. Yeah, and that action of termines, the finishing has not yet happened. So a menos que, unless you finish, well, when that happens, that other thing of playing outside can kick in. Okay, so a menos que is a trigger.
Hey guys, if you're still struggling with understanding native speakers because they speak too fast for you and you don't know what to do to improve your listening skills, I highly suggest to go to the link in the description of this video and join my own.
Okay. Shameless but okay self-promotion. And I think, yeah. Oh, okay. Uno más, one more. Es importante and it's important. So we're going to cut out the.
And see you there.
Okay.
Trigger number 5.
Number 5, because we're getting you 5 little things. Okay. I choose not to give you 20 things today because your brain would explode. And why would I want to do that to you? So 5, we got to. Oh, antes de que. Before.
Antes de que. Necesito comprar la comida antes de que llegue a la casa.
Necesito comprar la comida. I need to buy the food I need to get the food, right? Comprar is buy, but yeah, get is the same thing here. Necesito comprar la comida antes de que llegue a la casa. I need to get the food before he arrives home, before he gets home. And you would think it should be llega, because llegar is an AR verb, but it's llegue. It's an e ending, and it's not wrong. I need to get food before he gets home. Did he get home yet? No, he didn't get home yet. In point of fact, he's not home right now. He's going to be getting here. He's going to come home. He's going to come home at some point, but he's not there yet. So antes de que, before he gets home, well, before he gets home, that means he hasn't gotten home yet. That fact of arriving home has not yet occurred. And this is something that will typically, always, it will have to use subjunctive, because that activity of llegar a casa has not yet happened.
Trigger number 6.
Oh, una más, one
¿Para
more.
qué?
Para qué? And this is actually a super useful one too.
Voy a estudiar español para que pueda hablar con mis amigos.
I'm going to study Spanish so that I can speak with my friends. Right now, I don't know enough Spanish to speak with my friends. So that activity of puedo hablar con mis amigos can't happen yet. I can't talk. It's not a fact that I can talk. So that I can talk sometime down the line, yeah? Somewhere in the future. And that has not yet occurred yet. So instead of puedo or puede, it goes to the, poder is an ER verb, it goes to AR type endings. Puede hablar. Puede hablar.
In trigger number 7,
And tal vez, well, I'll
tal
let you hear
vez.
this one. We're not going to use tal vez next week. Para que sepan, just so you know. I use para que sepan, just so you know, because you don't know yet. Just so you know, we won't use tal vez yet, but tal vez, which means maybe, could use subjunctive, might not use subjunctive. You'll just see his example.
Tal vez vaya mañana a su casa. Of course, there are more triggers than that.
Yeah, and we're leaving off the tal vez because maybe is a very subjunctive trigger, or subjective trigger. Sometimes people use subjunctive with tal vez, sometimes they don't. Okay, you're going to have 6 triggers. I'm going to put them in a file for you. And I'm going to give you some things to bring to class. So what you're going to do is I'm going to have a little mini lesson for what verb, what wrong sounding verb you plug in instead. And you're going to have like a guided way to use a little bit of subjunctive with just those 6 things he talked about, minus the tal vez. Bien? See? What is generally going to happen is you're going to plug in a verb you already know, and I'm going to give you some just guided sort of, again, vanilla flavor ways to practice this. Instead of using an AR ending for an AR verb, you're going to swap out the ER ending, and yeah, or vice versa. So you're going to have some guided practice. And then I'm going to give you in another set of, on the same file, some open-ended situations where you can use your own ideas instead of my practice ideas. Does that make some sense? Mm-hmm. See, but we're only going to use those 6. Tal vez no, we're not going to mess with tal vez next week. These are triggers that you hear people use conversationally quite a lot. Because often we talk about, oh, I've got to do this before my family gets back home. Yeah. We have these kind of situations in everyday conversation a lot. So you'll have that. You'll have the video to finish up, and you can come back with your questions about subjunctive after you read all my little notes about it, okay? Todo bien?
Good.
Sí.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And we'll dip our toe in it. We're not going to dive in the whole pool. Yeah. Bien?
Bien.
Gracias.
Gracias.
De nada. Okay, so we're going to dissect that topic and take a couple of sessions to talk about subjunctive and practice it and use it a little bit in ways that are practical and manageable for us. Bien?
Sí.
Vale. Okay. Fantástico. Okay, ¿alguna pregunta? Any other question before we leave today or no? No? After class, you'll this afternoon you'll get an email. It's going to give the link to watch this class for people who could not watch the whole class because we had one person, and it will give you every link of all the notes you looked at during class, of all the videos you looked at during class, so that you know exactly what to do for the coming week, so that we can come back and practice next week. Bien.
Sí.
Bien.
Excelente. Bueno, de nada. Es un placer. Pleasure. And I will see you guys next week.
Okay, gracias.
Gracias.
Thank
De
you.
Gracias.
nada.